So let's see our example here. Let's try to make this one or this one is the similar setup actually. So it looks like a glossy kind of rubbery and there's a gradient color here. Okay, let's do that. Let's apply it to letter D. If I scroll down here, this is our material section. So first of all, let's change the color. If you click here, you can actually just play with any color that you want. But what we want is a gradient. So actually I will click on this and there's a bunch of menu that we can choose here. I'm going to choose depth, and by default it's giving you this gradient like a white. Like if we click here, there's a menu for it and you can specify which color you want. Like for example this one, let's change it to something like I don't know, maybe pink. And you can always adjust this radius here, and you can move the position as well if you want to start from here. You can also rotate around to see how it looks like from the bunch of other sides. Let's change the black into something like maybe yellow. Okay, it looks a bit dark. Let's add a lighting. So we can add something here. And I'm just gonna do the directional light. Click here and then we can see that it's already giving this effect. I'm going to zoom out and put it somewhere here. So there's a few view here. If we go to the top, we can see that the lighting is here. And if we go like this, we go to front view. If like this, we can go to side view. I'm going to go back to front view. Oops. Yeah. Okay. What I'm going to do is to set 3 points lighting. So if we go like this, I'm going to put this slightly in front. Let's go to the front view. Maybe somewhere here. This will be our strongest light, our main light. So we call it key light. And then it's actually creating a very strong shadow here, strong shades. So we need to counter that with a fill light. You can also reduce the intensity here if it's too bright. Maybe let's do 0.5 actually, 0.5. And I'm going to duplicate this light. Right click, duplicate, and then put it on this side. Let's go to our top view. And then we will reduce this to about 0.2 so it doesn't overpower our main light. And maybe I will add one more light. Let's call this fill light. Duplicate and call this backlight. Let's go to our top view again, and I'm going to push this behind, maybe somewhere here. Let's see. Let's keep it there first. Not sure we're going to need this, but let's turn it on and off. Yeah, it's actually giving a quite nice rim light here. And if you see here, there's a rim light. So yeah, let's keep this. Maybe, yeah, let's do this first. Right, let's go back to our D and go back to our material. So if you in Spline tool, each of the material will have its own lighting as well. And this lighting basically will define what kind of look you have. Like for example, this is Fong, so it's a bit matte kind of thing. If you change this to physical, you will get something more glossy like this. And there's depending on which option you choose, there's also different parameter. So for example, you can actually make this really reflective, like by increasing this to, for example, 0.8. Oh, okay, we don't really see that, but yeah, on different occasion actually you will see more of this. Oh yeah, actually you see, yeah, if we turn this into 1, for example, see, you will see things more glossy like this. Let's keep it like this at the moment. And yeah, you can actually check if I change this to Lambert, for example. This is interesting. We don't want that. There's also a toon shading. It will make it into like a, looks like more like cartoon. In combination with, we can also add another thing called outline. So it will turn it really like cartoon like this. But on our case, we don't really want that. So I'm going to delete this outline. And on this lighting, I will turn it back into physical. So feel free to play around with this. It gives you different look. And you can also change the blending mode. For example, maybe we turn it into overlay or screen or multiply. I'm going to keep it at normal. And then I also want to add a Fresnel. So add something like this. By default, if you click plus like this, it will give you color channel. I want to add a Fresnel here. Basically what it does is giving us a bit like a rim light. So if I turn off the other, see, it's not really, yeah, it's like a fake rim light. It's giving you a kind of like glow from this side. It's just to make things a bit brighter, and I want to turn this into overlay actually, so it doesn't really overpower. See, it's giving you this nice rim light, and you can always adjust how big you want it. So for example, let's say we go 0.5. When you play with one settings, if you want to know what it does, you can always turn off the rest, so you can see what you do to this thing. So for example, we turn this down, or if you increase the scale, you can see what it does. And then let's turn back on things. This is also interesting, but yeah, feel free to play around with this. On our case, I think, yeah, this is kind of like interesting look. Oh, there's another thing that I actually applied to our object, which is a displacement. If you see, all of the objects actually, they are looks like bulging here and there, and they have some kind of like irregularity in terms of the surface. So let's add that as well. So on this material, I will click this, and then I will add displace. By default, it's giving you this very interesting looking like watery kind of blobs. You can always play with this number to make it more or make it less. See, when I increase it to 27, it becomes like super jaggy like that. On my case, you can also click this, and then there's a bunch of things that you can play around here. You can use this kind of noise, you can use Perlin. Yeah, feel free to play around. I don't know, maybe I will, oh, this is also interesting. Let's see what it does when I increase. Yeah, this looks interesting, looks like a bit like clay. Okay, let's keep it like this. Alright, let's move on to the next material. I think this looks quite alike already with this one. Let's play with this one. This is interesting looking thing. I want to change the color into something called rainbow. So if we see, by default it's giving us this very interesting looking thing, and if we click on this rainbow, you can change the color. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Okay, let's stick with this, and then we can also add a little bit of noise. See, if you add too much, it will become like this, but I think I want to have a very little number, maybe 0.5. And then, reduce the scale of the noise maybe to 0.3. So it's a more subtle. Actually, if we, maybe 0.1. Yeah, this frequency, you can also play with it. See, it will give you more interesting things. And the interesting thing about this is, like, when you hover around like this, it actually will react to where the position of the camera is. So this is a really cool effect. Actually, let's hide all these grids. If we click outside like this, I can turn off the helper. No, it will turn off. So this helper is like it show where the light goes just now. I will turn it off, and maybe I don't really want to see our grid, so let's turn it off. Yeah, okay, this is more clean. Let's change the lighting into physical as well. And let's add Fresnel as well. And turn this Fresnel into screen maybe. This looking quite cool. It's kind of a bit dark. Let's see if we combine this. So the benefit of this blending mode is like you can mix and match things around. So if I add something here, maybe just normal color, something bright, and then we maybe put it down maybe here, and then we change the blending mode into overlay. Yeah, it's making it a bit brighter. Yeah, this looks pretty interesting. Yeah, but feel free to play around with this rainbow. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, let's see this crazy marbly looking material here. KP, okay, let's change the color into noise. So by default it's giving you already looking a bit like that. So you just need to play around with this. You can play with the color. Maybe this. Maybe green, neon green, like radioactive kind of stuff. This looks kind of intense, but yeah, let's stick with this. And we can also play with the scale. If I increase it, yeah, maybe something like this. And you can also click and drag and play with the movement like this. Now the difference between this and the rainbow is when you hover your camera like this, it doesn't react to your camera. But it's definitely a different kind of look. Yeah, this is quite interesting. Feel free to play around with this as well. I'm not sure what they do, but yeah. See, this is all like quite interesting. If you just need to play with this. When you do it too much, it will look a bit like the rainbow. Yes, let's stick with this, and then let's change our lighting as well to something more glossy, maybe physical as well, and maybe overlay. Yeah, this is quite interesting. Let's see whether we need Fresnel as well. Turn it into overlay. Okay, that looks cool. Okay. Yeah, let's move on to the next one. Maybe it's this gold. Yeah, let's do the gold. Okay, if we click on this one, let's call it E. So we can also add images on material. If we click here, there's option of image, or there's option of what they call it matte cap. Matte cap is basically what the template that provided by the Spline tool. They actually have this already looking like gold. So I'm just gonna start with that, but of course you can play around with anything here. It will give you a weird looking stuff when you play around with the rest. This is actually what I did with this material. I think one of this or one of this. Yeah, so you just play around with whatever. Here I'm going to stick with the gold now, and then change the lighting to physical. Maybe add a Fresnel as well. overlay. It looks a bit dark, so maybe I will add a color here, maybe like a yellow, bright yellow, and then put it on top of here and change the blending mode to overlay, maybe something like this. Let's add a displacement also. If you see here, I actually have a lot of, like if we zoom in like this, see I have a lot of texture here. So let's add a displace, and I'm going to make the displace really small. Actually, actually increase, yeah, like this, something like this. So the more you increase, the more tiny the texture will look like. I think something around here is okay. It looks a bit bright. Maybe I did something else that I don't remember. Oh, okay, maybe it's the blending mode, maybe it should be screen. And then you can also reduce the opacity of it. Yeah, maybe something like this. Again, this is all, there's no right and wrong, you can just play with it. But yeah, this is basically what I did with the material. So for the next one, we will explore how we can transition from one state to another state, like looks like inflate or go to crazy stuff like this.